As was expected, Prime Minister of Armenia Nikol Pashinyan resigned on October 16th. The reason why Nikol Pashinyan took this step was to shape a new parliament by dissolving the National Assembly and holding elections in early December. What are the results that the new government formed by Nikol Pashinyan has managed to record after May 8th? Political commentator Hako Badalyan said the following, quote, "In essence, during the past 5 months, the government was working under an extraordinary regime, and the key objective was to dismantle the former regime in such a way that it did not lead to a great recession in terms of public administration. I believe this was the pivotal objective, and the government managed to meet that objective over the past 5 months. Of course, the government adopted several problematic decisions, especially in terms of specialists. There were also critics who said that the effectiveness of the economy was not at a high level. And of course, this was appropriate. But I believe the government managed to destroy the former corrupt system that had coalesced with the public administration system in its entirety." End of quote. According to economist Tatul Manasaryan, 5 months is not enough time to assess the actions of the new government in terms of the economy. However, according to him, one thing that is clear is that there is an atmosphere of confidence in the country. In his turn, economist Tatul Manasaryan highlighted the following, quote, "Due to the confidence factor, more and more people have deposited money in banks, and the incomes of the population have increased. It is safe to consider the finalization of the pension reforms as a second major achievement, that is, in terms of legislation as well. Starting from July 1st, the compulsory accumulative factor has begun to be applied in the Republic of Armenia, and this means that the so-called long monies have already begun to be formed in Armenia. These long monies are especially important for establishing local industries and enhancing different branches of industries." End of quote. According to The Economist, in spite of failures in certain sectors, there are positive trends that serve as sufficient ground for future economic development. Head of the Helsinki Association for Human Rights Protection NGO Nina Karapetyan noted the following, quote, "It will be wrong to say that the past 5 months were very bad. Meanwhile, there are no such grounds to say that everything was ideal." End of quote. Nina Karapetyan also stated the following, quote, "From the legal perspective, there were attempts to take certain actions, but of course, they were short-lived. The first factor was the short amount of time. The second factor was the situation, and the psychology of the Velvet Revolution that was chosen in such a way that those actions were linked to that psychology. There were no inappropriate apprehensions, even though there were people who should have been brought to justice so that the incumbent government and the future governments would realize their sense of responsibility." End of quote. Human rights activist Vartan Harutyunyan has also touched upon the actions of the government in the past 5 months. On his Facebook page, he has pinpointed the 5 mistakes that he believes Nikol Pashinyan's government has made over the past 5 months. He particularly wrote the following, quote, 1. The government failed to hastily release political prisoners and initiate the process of their acquittal by giving relevant assignments to the prosecutor's office and the Ministry of Justice. 2. The government made statements on revealing the case of the events that took place on March 1st, 2008 and made failed attempts to bring charges against and detain primary political figures. 3. The government commissioned specialists of the Ministry of Defense to Syria. 4. The Prime Minister sent a telegram of condolence to President of the Russian Federation Vladimir Putin on the occasion of the death of famous Russian singer Yosif Kobzon. Let us note that Putin did not do the same on the occasion of the death of Aznavour. 5. The government made attempts to build a new Armenia with the pivotal cadres of the rejected government and gave naive explanations to justify those attempts." End of quote. During an extraordinary government session preceding his resignation, Nikol Pashinyan declared that Armenia was entering a new and major historical stage. According to President of the Journalists for Human Rights Protection NGO, Zhanna Aleksanyan, the term of office of Nikol Pashinyan stood out with the revelation of corrupt systems and the dispossession of specific individuals, as well as with the fact that certain individuals having committed serious acts of misuse were left unpunished. Zhanna Aleksanyan highlighted the following, quote, "I believe the upcoming elections are the new stage that the Prime Minister is emphasizing. You know that these are snap parliamentary elections. You also know that the most important issue in an electoral process in any country is the extent to which that electoral process is transparent and how close it is to democratic principles, and we are going to pass that test." End of quote. The months to come will show what kind of an Armenia we will be living in after the snap parliamentary elections. As for us, we will continue to follow the developments of the events.